Ladies and gentlemen, Hannie Rayson, Cate Kennedy.
What comes first for you, story or character?
Oh, always character, I think. Always character, because I have certainly read a lot of stories where the plot is intricately designed and carefully put together and someone's clearly sweated blood over it. And yet, if there is not a character that I can at least feel compelled by or care about, it doesn't matter how good that plot is. And on the converse side, I've read plenty of stories where the plot has been quite minimal, and yet because I'm so intrigued by the character, I will stay with it. So it seems to me that the storyline, which is very important, can happen more organically if I can settle on a character that I know that I can make you care about.
What's the difference between structure and plot?
Oh, God. Wow. Well, just off the top of my head, because that's a very complicated question, I would say that structure is an arrangement of scenes within the story, and in each scene something important to the story happens. But that is not the same as plot, because those scenes can be as simple as revealing something about character, pushing that story forward by revealing something about character. Whereas I've come to realise, and I was saying this to the class at VUT today, I have learned to stop worrying about plot. Plot is just the vehicle in which you are showing characters revealed, I think. And in fact, I got a great bit of advice once from a teacher, and I've never forgotten it. He said, "Tell you what plot is in 3 words: things get worse." Or in your sense as writers, make things worse.
Yeah.
And isn't that true? It's like, how can I put these obstacles in front of my character which are going to push them into further action and push them into further self-revelation? So the structure that I sort of find myself tinkering with is, how can I make that build so that we reach a point of no return, which is how I see climax now, a point from which there is no turning back, which in a short story can be as simple as somebody blurting something under pressure, can be as simple as the truth finally being out on the table, and then there is no going back after that truth is told. So in lots of ways, the kind of classic structure, which is, you know, the hero up against it, up against obstacles, transformative thing, returns to the home culture, those things are certainly true within a short story, but in a contemporary short story you can do things which are to do with the conflict as it takes place internally in people. So I find myself tinkering with not so much plot, with how can I show these scenes in such a way that you have faith in me, that everything is there for a reason. There was a thing that happened last year when I was talking about the novel, and I was affronted by someone's question where they said, "You must feel very different now, having written a novel, to come into the big pool after being in the baby pool of short stories." And I said, "Mate, it is not the baby pool, it is the diving pool. You know, what you're doing in that pool is making that same beautiful splashless entry over and over, and you want to get at the ladder again and do it again to make an even better entry. It is the love of the perfect entry that is, and it's deep and it's small."
But
and,
did you think of that just like off the cuff?
Yeah, I did actually. But that's the thing with short story. You want to learn how to be limber when it comes to metaphor. Short story will teach you.
I would think of that a year later and still be seething about that arsehole. And then I'd think of it in my room.
Yeah, the baby pool, that's right. As if it's a shallow thing. It's the opposite of shallow. It's not about that it's short. It's about distillation and compression and depth and something small and beautiful, which allows you all of this room to kind of to choose that perfect frame. That is a form I know that I'm going to be in love with the rest of my life. And I can't promise I'll ever write another novel or another poem, but I know this because I do it in my spare time. If I had the day off, I would go back to a short story.
Robert Drew said this whole thing about, a short story has to have the wow factor. And you've said, no, it has to have the ow factor, or the ouch factor.
The ow factor to me is you pick up something and you're holding it and you're feeling around for that tender spot, because the tender spot is where it's going to yield and open up to you. And I just have to trust that my reader has a life that's enough like mine to say, yep, that's the bit that hurts. And I do really believe that that's their common experience is ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch, and the recognition of the ouch.
Now, Kate, do you plan that before? So do you do it with a pencil and think, this is the way I'm going to do this? Or do you write organically?
I'm learning to write organically. Yeah, that's a long, slow process, because our immediate desire when we start, of course, is control, isn't it? That you want to nail everything down and get all those ducks into line, and you are going to plan it all out, and then you are going to write the perfect story in one glorious draft. And of course, it never works like that. And in fact, that's one pretty sure way of choking the life out of any idea that your unconscious is organically trying to show you, it seems to me. So I try now to let the story take me where it's taking me. And it's not entirely... My hit and miss rate is getting a bit better. My rate of attrition is getting lower all the time, because now my instinct is getting better all the time for recognising what's going to work. To me, I'm really interested in the way people inadvertently give themselves away. I guess that's it. And I love watching it and observing it in real life and speculating, and I love creating it in fiction. The great thing about limited point of view is limitation, isn't it? The people do not hear the way they sound to you. They can't hear that they sound like an arrogant narcissist. They think they sound cool. And that is very revealing. Yeah. And we're only reading to have that character revealed. So for me, I'm thinking, how can I put someone in a situation of stress and pressure to make them, try and hide something or blurt something? We want the surprise to be transitive, like the impatient thump, which unexpectedly restores the picture to the television set, or the electric shock, which sets the fibrillating heart back on its proper rhythm. I love that idea of this is the thump that's going to somehow bring the picture back, bring some sort of illumination back. That is a great thing to get you back to the desk, I think, that idea that I'm going to make something out of this, and somehow someone's going to read that and say, yes, that is true of my life too. That's enough to be going on with, in terms of your spiritual work, I think, in lots of ways. Yeah.